Are you or someone you love realizing that Donald Trump won the presidency, but your lives are still miserable?
Nah, I'm good. So is my family. So, what's your point? Howdy, y'all. My name is Rational Outlaw, and today I have a video by TYT. And if you don't know what that means, the Young Turks. Now, let's get on with the video.
Do you say stuff like, the gays can get a day, why can't we? Or, blacks get a full month, completely discounting the fact that these communities were persecuted and vilified for something they could not change about themselves?
The reason why people say that is not because of racism or homophobia. It's because they believe it's no longer necessary for blacks to have a Black History Month or the LGBT to have Pride Month or Pride Parades or Pride Day or any of that. I would agree on the Black History Month is no longer needed, and to quote Morgan Freeman, Black history is American history. As for gay pride and pride parades, I still think they're needed because there still is a stigma in the United States, nowhere near as much as it used to be, but there still is people who dislike the LGBT quite drastically or just dislike us in general. And there's also the fact that we don't have all our rights because people can still discriminate against us in hiring, they can still discriminate in adoption, all these different things. However, I do believe gay pride should be toned down because right now it's pretty much all about sex from what I can tell, and that needs to stop because that's not helping the LGBT. That I think just makes everything worse for us.
Are you offended that the radical left won't respect your president, even though you respected the Muslim Kenyan ISIS sympathizer?
Yes, but have you seen the fake news that the left has been perpetuating in just been less than a year? The right never did nowhere near as much of that with Obama in all the 8 years he has been president. Also, have you seen the riots with the left going berserk and destroying stuff? Because the right never fucking did that. So, what the fuck?
Do you lose sleep over the fact that only 22 million Americans will lose their insurance when all Americans should have the freedom of choice to be crippled by preventable medical debt?
Yeah, well, actually, 15 million of those 22 million would not be able to get Medicaid. It's not that they won't be able to get insurance, they just won't have Medicaid because the expansion of Medicaid will be slowed down drastically under the new law. And the other 7 million will because fewer people would be enrolling in the non-group market, mainly because the penalty for not having insurance would be eliminated. Now, there are some actual benefits to this new system compared to the Affordable Care Act, in which it would lower premiums and increase the availability of insurance plans and would make it easier for states to control their own health insurance markets.
You
You
may
may
be
be
suffering
suffering
from
from
acute
acute
chronic
chronic
snowflakism.
snowflakism. Symptoms may include burning,
Burning torches as you protest taking down racist monuments of figures like Robert E. Lee that sought to keep 13% of the population as slaves.
Slavery as institution is a moral and political evil in any country. Robert E. Lee. Yeah, I think that says it all.
Or calling any dissenting opinion against Donald Trump's soft, safe space loving snowflakes and also somehow radically violent leftists.
Two things. Have you seen the news reporting on Donald Trump by the left news media? It's quite bad. And have you forgotten about the inauguration protests like in Washington, D.C., California, also the Women's March, the airport protests, the bodega protests, the protests on February 4th, the protests on the weekend of February 11th, the Day Without Immigrants, the Resist Trump Tuesdays, the Not My President's Day, the United Voices rally, A Day Without Women, the Tax March, the March for Science, Political Climate March, protests on May 1st, protests on May 4th, protests on May 24th, protests against the U.S. withdrawal from Paris Climate Agreement, March for Truth, Impeachment March, all of this in a span of less than a year. So, what the f are you talking about? Also, let's not forget the Berkeley riots. All three of them.
While being unnecessarily triggered by things like an international coffee franchise like Starbucks not using Christmas logos on their cups around wintertime, and claim that America's losing sight of its Judeo-Christian values.
I will concede that people who got upset over that was a bit ridiculous. However, just about anyone probably could get upset over that cup because of how ugly it looked. But for the most part, I believe people on the right didn't give a shit.
Getting upset that fictional characters like Wonder Woman aren't patriotic enough.
Saying things like, Hillary won the popular vote.
Side effects also include forgetting that Hillary Clinton actually did in fact win the popular vote.
Dude, you do know the popular vote is superfluous, right? Because it doesn't play a role in the election for president. So why the fuck are you bringing up the popular vote?
Or constantly blaming that fact on an unfounded conspiracy that millions of illegal immigrants voted, despite the fact that that's been disproven countless times.
Maybe not millions, but there have been thousands of non-citizens who successfully registered to vote. In fact, the PILF found that since 2011, 5,556 non-citizens successfully registered to vote, only to be removed when Virginia election officials subsequently discovered their alien status.
I'm with her.
Or tirelessly bringing back failed old campaign slogans no one's saying 6 months into having Trump as president.
Okay, how about the fact that people were saying, I'm still with her, despite being 3 months into Trump's presidency?
Because all aspects of the government is run by Republicans and our lives only keep getting worse, so you try to attack things that are no longer relevant, like
Benghazi, email servers, and billions to Iran.
So you'll perpetuate that somehow Trump was involved with Russia or that Russia hacked the US election despite there being absolutely no f***ing evidence, but you're not okay with looking at the disgusting things that we know Hillary actually did. You're f***ing retarded. I think what Hillary did is still very relevant because that shows that there's a major problem within our US government.
as if this has anything to do with the current administration, all while ignoring Donald Trump's incredibly low approval ratings,
Not important.
super unpopular legislative agenda that seeks to make healthcare unaffordable to 22 million Americans exclusively to give the wealthy few tax cuts that they don't need.
Have you ever heard of Obamacare? Oh, and also that whole wealthy tax cuts. Why the f*** do you want to steal other people's money? Well, that's going to be it for today. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share it, comment down below, follow me on all my social media, support me on Patreon and VidMe, and I'll see y'all later.